We're broadcasting from Detroit's Cass Corridor. It's the Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. And right now you're listening to Andrian Sand Dunes by Draxia. Detroit has a pattern. It creates something extraordinary. It goes global, and then it belongs to the world. It happened with Techno. The electrifying sound was created in a basement in Belleville. It took the city by storm. Yet with a lack of support and spaces to perform, its creators saw the music being celebrated and uplifted in a way that took it away from the city. The same goes for theaters in Detroit. The city once had over 300 of them. People would get dressed up for an evening of cinema. It wasn't a question of if you made it to the show, it was around every corner. Now, there are no major theaters to view movies in downtown Detroit. A young woman from New York and a native Detroiter are reclaiming the story of Techno and aiming to foster space for Detroit's film culture. This Friday, the two will kick off Movement Weekend with a screening of God Said Give 'Em Drum Machines, a documentary exploring the roots of techno and the origins of the genre. Kiara Williams is the founder of Treuse Cinema, and Jennifer Washington is the executive producer of God Said Give 'Em Drum Machines and director of the Electric Roots Film Festival. Thank you both for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you so much for having me, Tia.
Hey, Tia. Nice to be here again.
Yes, of course. It's great to have you back as well. Jumping right into things, Kiara, Detroit has had its fair share of people coming in with big goals, big ideas. What makes Treuse different?
Well, I think being here in Detroit for 2 years, I really have been able to, I spent the first year kind of observing, mainly because I was going through a lot of personal stuff, but I wasn't ready to figure out, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so year 2, I started a mutual aid initiative with the Black Student Union at Wayne State because I became a student.
Yes.
And I had done some community work at Rosa Park Transit Center, and I was like, this city, like where it is now, like there's something I can do here from the stuff I've done before. And so I saw impact, and then, I realized that people who come to Detroit to build some of them are not doing it in the best way, and I hope to change that and be something different for people like me who come from the outside to build here. So,
and you're talking about being an outsider. You're from New York. You had theaters everywhere. You walked around and there was a theater on every block almost. Based on your experiences, what has Detroit lost out due to the lack of theaters? So when you think about just the way that the film industry in New York is, and actors and stage plays and productions, it's all able to happen due to the fact that there are spaces for it to happen. So what do you think Detroit lost out on due to the lack of theaters we've had?
That's such a good question. Wow. I would say from being able to access different people like actors in different places within film and movie theaters, I would say that what I realize is that there's so much talent here in Detroit. And when I look at Hollywood's depiction of Detroit and like kind of what, like what exists on certain platforms, I'm just like, it's not. How political can it be?
You can get pretty political. You can go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it's not fair. It's not fair and it's not right that Black and brown creators here in Detroit have to create under one umbrella to be on the mainstream. And I think not having a place for all of these people and all of this industry to land allows others to depict a place not correctly.
Yeah, depict the place in their image, in their view, in their idea of what Detroit is versus what it actually is. And you've been able to experience that your 2 years here so far. And we'll get down to that because I definitely want to know how you've made Detroit home. I want to know that. But you put out a survey. 71% of Detroiters you surveyed said that they'd come to downtown Detroit for cinema at least once a month. Distance was the number one barrier. That's not a lack of entrance. That's a lack of space. We're talking about that now. You saw that data and decided to be the one to close that gap. Why now? What prompted you to open up Treuse?
I think part of it is the fact that I saw a gap and was like, but I researched it and I was like, why is there no real like movie going experience. And I realized that it was because of racism. And I was like, oh no, I need to change that. And I think that that's synonymous with my work as a grassroots organizer, where I saw a gap and worked really hard to change it. And so seeing that and also getting on the ground with local filmmakers and local creatives of Detroit and like meeting them and talking to them and hearing their experiences, I think that really also let me know that this is something that's so wanted. And I don't know, I felt compelled.
And you speak of, racism. White flight was one of the reasons, or at least it was contributed to the loss of so many. It was connected to the loss of so many theaters in the city of Detroit. I read it in a Crane's article almost 10, 15 years ago, where they were talking about the loss of theaters in the city of Detroit and how it correlates to white flight. So that's very interesting that was something that prompted you to want to make a better space for those in the film community here in the city of Detroit. Now, one of the stories that you talked about was Sinners. Your experience with watching Sinners. Kiara, you had an extraordinary experience with that, the Academy-nominated film Sinners. And that was one of the reasons you really said, you know what, I gotta do this. What was that experience?
It was kind of crazy. It was kind of crazy because I went to go see it with some of my friends. And my brother, my 20-year-old brother lives with me. Shout out to him because he is holding it down for me. But we went to go see it, and we're all sitting watching like the end scene right before.
No spoilers.
The end scene. Period. But if you hadn't watched it by now, like, come on, I don't know.
Don't put me on the block.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, but we watched this one scene, and I was like, oh my God, everybody black needs to see this. Like. It was the whole movie, but the ending was so perfect where I was like, this is empowering. Like, and I felt so inspired. Like, I left the theater feeling inspired, and I kept saying to my friends, honestly, they probably remember the moment where I was like, I'm going to build a movie theater.
Wow.
Because I was like, I can't believe how inaccessible it is. And they were like, yeah, it's crazy. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to build a movie theater. And I felt ridiculous. But here I am.
I know, because when you hear and think about something so massive as of an undertaking, like a movie theater, a place to see massive films, it's something that's been talked about in the city before. We had Paul from Imagine, who was working with Big Sean, one of the local rappers. I won't say local, but Big Sean, one of the rappers here. And it was a promise at one point to bring a theater to downtown Detroit. It did not happen. It didn't, move forward. And now we have you here. So where do you see yourself, if we talk about in terms of like the corporate model of what a theater could be in the city of Detroit versus the model that you're trying to build? Where do you see yourself on that spectrum?
You are a really good questioner.
Thank you.
You are really good at this. I would say the space that we're building, because I don't believe in me just solely building it. Operationally and corporately, yes, I can say I'm a team of one because I don't have people on my payroll.
Yeah.
But I do have a community of people, and I believe that this project will not exist without the community of people.
Yeah.
And so I would say that we exist like. I'm trying to figure out the correct way to say this. I want the theater to exist not near the corporate agenda. I want it to be a place where people can feel inspired, where they can come and build community, where there's like facets of the systems we live in because we live in them.
Yes.
But for it to be a space where people feel so inspired to create, to come, to connect, to learn, to watch, to ingest, to be better humans is what I said in one of my videos, because that is what I believe the arts can do. And I've seen it. We all live it. And I think that I would like to be on that end of the spectrum.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for explaining that, or at least searching for the proper words to put together to explain that to us. Jennifer, you've been there patiently waiting. We're going to bring you into this conversation now. Now, the Electric Roots Film Festival, which runs May 22nd through June 30th, is a hybrid and online event celebrating global electronic music culture and its origins right here in the city of Detroit. Now, Friday night is the opening night as well. Tell us what the festival is and why this format and why this particular weekend.
Well, this is Detroit Techno Week, right? And movement kicks off on Saturday, and this is such a big time for the city. Movement Week. It's my favorite time to come to Detroit. Of course, I'm from Detroit, but I live in Los Angeles now, and it was really important for us to have some type of film presence and component to all this celebration of the music. And so I thought, because we have now a worldwide audience with God Said, I thought it would be important to kind of connect with other filmmakers and create a community and have a whole presentation for this celebration that kicks off in Detroit during Techno Week. And then June is Black Music Month. And Juneteenth is also inside of June, Black
Yes,
Music Month.
yes.
And so we found, like in the past years, that we get a lot of requests for screenings during Juneteenth and Black Music Month. And we just thought, wow, we could just resurrect this idea again, because we actually started this in 2015. And we
Wow.
did a whole day long programming of films at Charles Wright on the exact day, May 22nd, 11 years ago now. So we weren't able to keep it going while we were finishing God Said, but now I think it's time to bring it back and hopefully make it an annual.
Now, Jennifer, your film is about the people who created this sound and how they were pushed out of the wealth and recognition that followed. How do you tell that story honestly without losing the joy of what was actually made here?
Losing the joy, I think I don't know about losing the
Without
joy.
without losing the joy.
Without losing the joy. I think there's just something so special about the music, and when we put a spotlight on where it came from, it's like freeing for people. I think
Yeah.
so many people around the world can connect to this, and so it's definitely more of a celebration. But there's definitely some components that are kind of hard to swallow,
Hmm.
in the story, and so but at the end of the day, it's definitely been such a huge connector of people and cultures around the world that I really just think it's, we can all, the music is for everybody and we can all celebrate that.
And Jennifer, talk about showing the film in classrooms and lecture halls because you've been able to really expand its reach and access to it. How has God Said Give 'em drum machines helping correct the history that of just those who helped create that sound but are no longer recognized or rarely recognized?
Right. Yeah, this part is so important to us. The impact of the film, and it's so much work, let me say. Um, I had no idea, first of all, that it would take this long to make a film and then to sell the film and then to continue to bring it to the masses. But, that's all great, connecting with other, techno heads and music enthusiasts. But what's really important is that we've been able to get in the classroom with this film. And there's, I would say this started back when we first had a rough cut. It wasn't even a full film. It
Wow.
was 30 minutes. And we took our first 30 minutes and got an opportunity to show it at MIT, Berkeley School of Music, Duke, UCLA, just at a rough cut. And it was so important because we were able to get feedback at the time. But when we finished the film and we did our festival run, and we're still doing a festival run, but we started getting some really interesting invitations from professors.
Mm.
One at Ithaca College. I mean, this is pretty amazing that she took the film along with another film and she focused on God Said the whole semester. And students were able to create their own creative projects that inspired them after watching the film. And we got to talk to the kids and they presented their projects to us. We still have access to these projects. Totally amazing experience. Then a professor in Montreal who teaches a class about religion and electronic music brought the film to their class. The kids were able to see the film and talk to me and the director Christian Hill about their feelings and questions that they had. Just recently, we participated in a sound conference at University of Houston with a bunch of really important scholarly folks that now want to write a review about God Said in the Journal of Electronic Music. I mean, but most importantly, we were able to bring this film back to the city. We did workshops with media students at Detroit School of the Arts, and we were able to use God Said to teach them digital documentary storytelling. And I mean, the list. This is just to name a few. I could go on, but I know we have a limited time. So it's been really rewarding to be able to do that. We want to continue to be able to do it in the future.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have my brain is going in so many different directions. Hearing, this, especially when we talk about a professor taking a whole semester to just really dive deep into God said and everything that it represents. I mean, I find that so fascinating for yourself. 12 years building this film, press tours, and taking it all over the world. What does it feel like to have it in classrooms finally being told, especially having that history finally told to the next generation?
That's what it's all about right now. It's about keeping it's amazing. It's amazing feeling. And but it's about now the work has become life's work, Tia.
Yeah.
This is not just one film that I can just, move on from because
Yeah.
the impact it's so intensive. And but that's the best part about it. But really the goal now is to keep this history alive and accessible for generations to come. And I want a little shameless plug. We're also doing having a whole different component to, well, it's the same work really, but it'll now be under Detroit Techno Legacy and Education Foundation. This is now becoming official, and we're going to be able to continue to do this type of educational work all over the world.
My guests are Kiara Williams, founder of Treuse Cinema, and Jennifer Washington, executive producer of God Said Give 'em Drum Machines and director of the Electric Roots Film Festival. We're talking about Detroit's stolen music history and the goal to bring cinema back downtown, and a screening this weekend that aims to accomplish both. I'm Tia Graham, and this is The Metro. We'll be right back. This is The Metro on 1019 WDET FM. Right now, you're listening to Kevin Saunderson, The Groove That Won't Stop. He recorded this record in 1988. Now, we've been talking about what Detroit created, what was taken, and who's building it back. Friday night at Campus Martius, under the open sky, God Said Give 'em Drum Machines will screen for free. It'll help kick off Movement Weekend and the Electric Roots Film Festival May 22nd. It's happening once again at Campus Martius Park. It begins at 6 p.m. Kiara Williams is the founder of Treuse Cinema, and Jennifer Washington is the executive producer of God Said Give 'em Drum Machines and director of the Electric Roots Film Festival. Now, Jennifer, jumping back into it with you. In June of 2020, Kevin Saunderson, one of the three men who invented techno right here in Detroit in a basement in Belleville, addressed this idea of stolen history, I have my air quotes on, in an interview with Billboard. Here is how he described the feeling. He says somebody is basically eliminating black artists and producers from participating and being part of the scene. He went on to say, once I go off and die and other people who've been around from the beginning are gone, who's left? That was 5 years ago. Has anything changed, Jennifer?
I understand where he's coming from. However, all I can do is focus on my mission, which is to keep spreading this information to people, students, classrooms, libraries, communities all over the world, because I just think it's important to not only reclaim the history, but now it's like our responsibility to keep it going.
Yes.
So I feel like we can't wait. We can't wait for textbooks to include this information. We can't wait for schools to recognize that this should be taught. And like I said, I've just taken it upon myself, and me and my team. Shout out to the director, Christian Hill,
Shout out.
Christian Hart, Eric Jackson, David Grandison, and to the pioneers themselves. I mean, I do have to shout out Kevin,
Mm-hmm.
Eddie,
Mm-hmm.
Blake,
Yes.
Santonio, and Derrick and
Yeah.
Juan. And this, during a time when there's all this DEI and all this erasure of the history, I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to celebrate this music, like I said, for generations to come.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jennifer, sticking in that vein there, because I know your mission is to just basically continue forward with the film. Now, the title of the film comes from something the late Mike Huckabee said. I had a dream one night that the angels were trying to wake God up because the people in Detroit were starving. So they said, God, what should we do about this? And God replies, give them drum machines. We survived and lived through drum machines. For people who don't know that name and who he is, why did that line become so important to the film?
Tia, at the time we were just starting to do interviews with uh, the pioneers, the guys, and the director, Christian Hill. He was always interested in having Mike's voice be a part of this because Mike was an educator. He had a totally different spirit, in addition to him being an amazing DJ, of course, and a scholar basically on vinyl music and records and this techno sound and beyond, that he knew that this voice would be critical in our story.
Mm,
And so I wasn't really familiar with Mike as he was,
mm-hmm,
but when we got a chance to meet Mike, I mean, it really changed our whole trajectory from that
wow.
point forward. Because when he told us that story, at the time we were calling the project Detroit Sound Project or Techno Mecca. And when he told us the story about God and what the angels said about drum machines, we knew that right there kind of gave it heart. It gave the story heart, because I know there's been other storytellers in the past that have brought this Detroit techno idea to theaters
Mm-hmm,
and cinema, but it was important for us to then really capture the heart of these innovators, these Detroit artists and producers that were really trying to create something beautiful. And Mike was able to convey it in a way that gave it the heart and a new title for the film. It's been God Said Give 'em Drum Machines ever since.
And you spoke about it a little bit, but how did the pioneers respond when they saw the finished film?
It was mixed,
Oh,
mixed
wow, wow,
reviews. I
wow.
think it's hard. I think it's just hard when you see, everybody remembers things differently,
Mm,
and that's true, and that's never going to change. And we tried our best to really connect the stories that we were given from the guys, but I know it's also hard to see your story up on a screen told by someone else.
mm-hmm,
So that's what I think happened. I think that this happens a lot. I
mm,
think when when documentaries come out or biopics, like the Michael movie, for instance,
yeah.
I think it was hard for some of the family to see the story told in a certain way, and it's not always easy. But I totally understand where they're coming from when it's mixed reviews. But I just I just wanted to put a spotlight on them and that would endure. And so I I think we did an okay job, at least at that.
Now, you've traveled all over the world with the film, Jennifer. What does it mean to carry that title around with you?
Every before we even finished, when we were filming, we were chasing Juan on the road since 2011, and Derrick, and we got a chance to capture Kevin, different performances. But all over the world, we've always been greeted with this warmth from everybody, especially in the scene,
Yeah.
and they were treating us like we were like Detroit ambassadors or royalty, because the Detroit brand and the Detroit music, and especially techno, it just has, it means a lot. And I just think that was what I knew was going to be the thing that really made this a project with legs, because I don't even think that Detroiters understand the value of that Detroit brand. And I just hope that this can just continue, this story along with others can continue to be like a new calling card for the city, because I really think this techno industry can really continue to blossom, and really cement it, use that to cement the fact that Detroit is really a music capital of the world.
This is the Metro. I'm Tia Graham. We're talking about Detroit Techno Week and Friday's free screening at Campus Martius Park. My guests are Kiara Williams, founder of Treuse Cinema, and Jennifer Washington, executive producer of God Said Give 'Em Drum Machines and director of the Electric Roots Film Festival. Kiara, bringing you back into the conversation, you chose this film, the specific story about Detroit's music history, to anchor Treuse Cinema's second public event. During Movement Weekend, of course, with thousands of people in downtown Detroit. What does that choice say about what kind of cinema you're building?
Well, Jennifer, basically, she just, first and foremost, I love hearing Jennifer's talk about her work. I think it's really great work. And she's really inspiring to me. And when I looked into the film, when we had connected, I didn't want to watch it. And so I read like the blurb, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is great. I love music, love movies. I'm like, this is perfect. The art's combining.
Exactly.
And then I went to her and I was like, when we connected, because I do think someone put her on my newsletter. And Jennifer, you were right. I needed to tell you that you were right, is that someone must have put you on my newsletter, because I found it. I went to our thread earlier today, and I was like, wow, like we did connect over just me having Home Alone screening,
wow.
But she was responding to my newsletter. And I said to her, I said, after I looked into the film and we met, I was like, what if we do something for Movement, like before, like around that time? And she said, I would love that. And then I was like, okay, this makes so much sense because of where I'm at and like where the project's at, and also like the history around Black art being foreshadowed and kind of rewritten.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Kiara, this city has gone through so many different things: bankruptcies, rebellions, white flight, redlining, and so much more. What does it mean to build something in a city that has had so much taken from it? You're looking at me like you did it again.
It's really good. I would say, so something that's really important to me is realizing that although we exist in the structures we have to exist in, I'm a Black woman and I understand the Black experience. Mm-hmm. So when you look at, all the things you named, like bankruptcy, white flight, what was the denominator was, I would say, corporate forces deciding that a city is no longer useful and its people are no longer useful. And I don't believe in that. And so I'm not concerned about what if it happens again, because I'm building something that will exist no matter if that money is gone. I'm building something that people will feel empowered to keep alive. And that's, yeah.
And that's all that needs to be said. Now, when you imagine Treuse Cinema in a permanent home eventually, because right now you're in the pop-up status, what does that look like? And who's in that room?
I love this question. I love this question so much. It is everybody that I have been building with who are from this city. Like Hannah Fahum, who does a lot of Arab American film festival stuff and building community between the local and indie filmmakers. It's people like Layla, who is running People Movin', And I love that series. And I met with her yesterday, and this morning I texted her and I was like, I forgot to say, because I was operating, I love what you do.
Yes.
And it's people like, right now it's a lot of women. And so I love being a woman. Shout out to Jennifer, shout out to me, shout out to you, Tia, shout out to all the women who are doing it.
Shout out.
And it's a lot of women, but there's also so many players that I've just connected with over the past month alone, where I'm like, I don't believe in, if I could have everybody on my team and pay them all livable wages, it would be it right now.
Yeah.
But for right now, it's all community, and we're all building together.
Yeah. So it'll look like community.
Yeah.
It'll look like community. And Kiara, every screening is data for you. Everything that you're doing right now is proof that it's working. What are you watching for Friday night specifically? What are you hoping to learn from Friday night showing?
So I'm really I had a eureka moment the other day, because I have a lot of systems friends who operate in systems, and I'm not a systems thinker. And I was like, I know what this thing is, I just don't know the system name for it. And it's basically the loop where you put on something, you have a trigger, it's an event, it's a show, it's something, and then you collect the feedback, you collect the experiences, you collect, constructive criticism, and then you alter the strategy. You alter like how you show up, how you communicate, and then you continue that feedback loop. And the system's called a feedback loop. So I'm really hoping that on Friday, after, we can be in a constant feedback loop with the Detroiters who showed up on Friday, and it remains. And right now I'm building it through the back end of the website. I'm not building it. My friend Clara is building it. But she's doing great. And so that's what I'm hoping to gain, is like real feedback from the people who are going to be experiencing, building, and showing up in this space, the physical one.
The physical space, which will happen for you. We're going to manifest that. Now, Jennifer, bringing you back into the conversation, you brought it up briefly, and we all know here, most of us know here, the city just declared this week Techno Week. Now, what do you say to someone who argues that the music belongs to everyone and it can't be owned?
I say you need to see God Said Give Them Drum Machines. It's free and ad supported on Tubi, and also on our watch site through our website, DetroitTechnoMovie.com. That's what I say.
Okay. And Jennifer, as this is for both of you, this is our final question, our closing question here. Jennifer, you're bringing a film about Detroit's music history back home for a free screening hosted by Treuse. Kiara, you've made it a point to make sure the film reaches as many people as possible, connecting with the Downtown Detroit Partnership and screening at Campus Martius Park during one of the biggest weekends in the city of Detroit. For you both, what do you want this city to understand about its own worth? Jennifer, you first.
I think the story's empowering. When I just have to say, when we started this filming, when I didn't really understand that these DJs were world class at this point, and that the music was basically an export, and by and large, because Berlin, Germany, Japan, London, all these places around the world really support the music, and I really want the city to understand that and rejoice in that and harness its power to create more techno tourism.
Yes. And Kiara, same thing to you. You're a transplant. You're here. This is your second year here. You're making Detroit your home. What do you want the city to understand about its worth?
I think whenever I connect with Black Detroiters, I see first and foremost, whenever I tell someone I'm from New York, the main is like, why are you here? Oh. And I'm like, don't be asking me that. Like, right? I think it's a sign of like, when we exist in like the spaces we exist in, those space we exist in, I think Black people tend to diminish the value and the work, and I think of themselves and of ourselves as a community. Mm-hmm. And I think for Black Detroiters, what I need y'all to do is make sure you stand tall. You make sure you stand tall and bold, because Black Detroit really built this city. Detroit is Black Detroit. And I think that with things changing and landscapes changing, I think that there's a real power in showing up in that space where you're like, I'm a Black Detroiter. My ancestors built the city. We are trying to hold our ground, because I think gentrification is showing up very abruptly and violently.
Kiara Williams is the founder of Treuse Cinema, and Jennifer Washington is the executive producer of God Said Give 'Em Drum Machines and the director of the Electric Roots Film Festival. Now, the film is screening this weekend, this Friday actually, May 22nd at 6 p.m. at Campus Martius Park, and it is free and open to all. So before you hit the dance floor, go watch a movie. Kiara, Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us on The Metro.
Thank you, Tia.